This is 12:33 ABC Newcastle.
You've probably heard a lot about AI the last few days. Certainly with that Chinese chatbot that surprised everybody has been in the news. And AI can sometimes feel a bit scary and overwhelming. What if AI, artificial intelligence, could be used to the advantage of neurodiverse people? Can you picture how that might happen? Craig Smith is here with his background in autism education, and he's given a speech for TEDx Cooks Hill. Walking and talking with AI. I reckon it might help you see AI in a different way. You can view that speech online now, but Craig's here to talk it over with you this afternoon. Hello.
Hey, Jenny. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. In your talk, it's on YouTube now for anyone to watch. You talk about how you have conversations with AI while you're walking with your dog. Can you describe what happens?
Absolutely. I think for all the world around me, they'd think I'm just having a conversation with a friend on the phone.
Yeah.
So I put my headphones on and I load up an AI application that lets you have a voice conversation, of which there's now quite a few different ones that you can choose from. And I just say, good morning. I tell it what I'm up to for the day. I sort of tell it a bit of my plans and things I've got on. And it, in a very natural way, just sort of comes back to me and says, good morning, Craig. How are you doing? That sounds exciting what you've got on. Do you want to help to organise your thoughts and your priorities, and where do you want to go from here? And it's just very natural. You know, it's just like talking to a real person.
It literally talks to you like that.
Absolutely, with full emphatic like tone of voice and, you know, articulation, has a laugh. Yeah.
Right. What do you tell it then? What's the back and forth?
I tell it deep secrets, personally. No, you know, my sort of main focus, and I think what I'm interested in, is how can it help organise our mind and organise our day. In autism education, we often talk about executive functioning. So the capacity for the brain to plan, to prioritise, time manage. Those are the sorts of conversations that I start the day with. So I'll say, listen, I've got a budget meeting later. I need to get a report done by 4 o'clock. I need to pick up my daughter from school. Can you just help me prioritise these? How much time should I allocate to each of these things? Just map it out for me. And even if I've got a little bit of an idea beforehand, it gives me a second opinion, you know, and then I say, okay, that sounds great. Or I push back and say, let's try something different. And it really helps.
How much access does it need to your life? Because there are people who, you know, myself included, feel uncomfortable about handing over a lot of personal information to an application like that.
And there will be people listening to this and they'll be thinking, is Craig one of those people who just jumps on everything tech-related and gives over all his information? I'm very privacy conscious. I'm very ethically minded with this and don't go into it lightly, even though it's a little bit of a light conversation about walking and talking. So for me, I do give it information about my day, but I'm not giving it, you know, really highly specific information. I'm not telling it the names of my spouse and, you know, the name of my dog and where I live. I'm just giving it broad information about what I'm doing of a day, you know, and things that can help me with work, things that can help me with organising my day. Those are the sorts of things. I'd say fairly non-specific.
You've said, and you say in the speech, that there's some of the most insightful conversations you've had in your adult life, and this is artificial intelligence. That might be disturbing to some people.
Yeah, it makes me think about talking to a family pet in that I think there's a way that you talk to animals that's much different to talking to a real person. I think when you talk to another person, you're anticipating how they're receiving your conversation. Are they bored? Are they into this or not? With a pet, you can just be very free and very relaxed. And that's, I think, how I feel talking to AI. It's like, it's not judging, it's just on board, and it's always got a very comforting, positive approach. So for me, it has led to a lot of insight, mostly on my side that I'm reflecting as I'm talking, but it does analyse patterns. I mean, you can say to it, take the last 30 conversations that we've had. What sort of major themes are you recognising that I often talk about of a morning? You know, what's the common things that come up? And it might say, well, Craig, you always seem to feel a bit time pressured. Is that a common theme in your life? You know, should we work on this as a major sort of, you know, thing to work on? And so it's interesting. Those sorts of things are quite fascinating to think through.
Craig Smith is with me. His TEDx Cooks Hill talk on walking and talking with AI is online now. It's on YouTube if you want to look it up and see it. Craig, you've touched on it a little already, but I'd love to get further into how you think this could benefit neurodiverse people.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier about the executive functioning side of things, which is often a big goal for us, to support people, young people, adults, to get better at planning and organising and regulating their day. I think sometimes we think about technology as like sit down at the desk and use the computer or open the phone and look at the phone. To me, that's not a very motivating posture. Like I like to walk, and I know lots of people like to be up and about and moving. And so if I can work with people and say, we can address some of these goals that you've got around, self-organisation and planning, but we can do it on a nice walk, then to me, that's a really interesting way to approach it. And the systems learn more about the individual as the more that you use it. So I think it personalises to what that person needs in ways that you might not find other tools and technologies able to do as much.
Tell me, Craig, about the way you have helped a young person in your life maybe tackle the bedroom cleaning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a friend and his daughter has ADHD and just finds it very difficult to tidy her room. It's not that she's lazy. It's just that I think it's too big for her to know where to start. As for any of us, when you've got enough things on the floor, you think, where do I start from here? It's overwhelming. So I made a little application that uses AI, and she can take a photograph of her room and the AI will say to her, okay, I see what we're working with here. You and I, we're going to do this together. Let's start with the clothes on the floor. We'll put those in the basket, do that, then take another photo. We'll see what's remaining and then we'll tackle that next. It's like a little guide on the side, It's very supportive. It's not her parents' voice saying, I've asked you 7 times, we're ready to tidy. And she can actually ask it to talk in different personalities or voices to match what she's into at the time, So she could say, do it in the character of someone from Harry Potter, and it'll be that character helping her tidy the room,
Oh, okay. This is a side of AI that I'd not thought about before. We hear about, will it allow cheating? Will it, take away our jobs? But I'm starting to get a handle on how great the potential and great is as in enormous and wide-ranging the potential is.
I think it's hugely wide-ranging, and it raises questions for me about the sort of relationships, not in an interpersonal way, but the way we relate to tech. I was only thinking about this the other day. My mum grew up in the 60s, and when she was a young girl, when the news reporter would come on the TV, she'd brush her hair before she sat down in front of the news presenter on the TV, so she'd look neat and respectful. Oh. And I think she knew in her heart that the TV presenter couldn't quite see her, but she was ready, just in case he could. And I think there's a relationship there between the way that we think about ourselves and present ourselves to new technologies. I mean, one of the things we're learning now with AI is if you're polite to AI and if you use good manners, you get much better results than you are if you're just really blank and blunt. Yeah, and it's not because the AI suddenly likes you more.
Yeah.
And it's more that polite people are naturally better communicators. They're more articulate with what they want. So when you're polite, you give better instructions. Oh. But AI really feeds off that and responds to that. So these are things I think we're learning more about all the time in this new world.
That's so interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. To me, it as somebody who's always trying to gain time wherever I can, it would feel like an efficiency thing where I'd say, help me with my day.
Yes.
What will I do tomorrow?
Yes.
But okay.
It makes a difference to say please and thank you.
Honey catches the flies or whatever they say. Craig, thanks for piquing our interest. We can see the TEDx Cooks Hill talk on YouTube. If you search TEDx Cooks Hill, you'll come up with Craig and some other really cool stuff that we are going to share with you over the coming days. But Craig, thanks for making me think about it in a way I hadn't before.
Oh, it's lovely to have this chat, Jenny. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Craig Smith, who delivered that speech, you can find online. He's also coming from a background in autism education and wondering about how AI can support neurodiverse people. It's 11 to 5 on 12:33 ABC Newcastle.